What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. If you are a first timer, a new listener, then welcome to you guys as well. We're about to change the way that you guys trade in the stock market. Guys, what we teach here is the way that I trade every single day. Okay, and I want to present that to you guys so you guys are able to do the same thing. I send out these videos for you guys for free every single day. So if you like it, make sure you're subscribed down below and click the bell. The bell sends out the notifications for when I do send out these videos every single day. Daily watch lists, weekly swings, monthly swings. We've got a yearly swing coming up at the end of December. That will be out for you guys as well. I put out tons of learning tool videos for you guys to help you learn exactly how I trade and how I do it every single day. So thank you guys for being here. I want to go through a few things. This screen that you see here, that is TradingView. If you go to the description down below, I have a link for you guys to try TradingView free for 30 days. No obligation. It's their subscription-based service. You get to try it free for 30 days. If you like it, you'll get up to $30 off of your subscription if you decide to subscribe. But you get that free 30-day trial, so take advantage of that. I also have a Discord, the Griswold Trading Discord. That link is in the description below. Get in on that Discord so we can learn and earn together with everybody in that room. And as these videos go, there is a gold membership portion of that Discord. Now, the majority of it is free. There is a Griswold Gold membership. It's $50 a month. Buy 2 months, get a month free, and it includes a 1-hour strat course that I've created just for you guys. The top 5 plays from every video that I do, one-on-ones with myself, so you guys can learn exactly what I did and how I did it in a little bit more depth. It comes with live trading bots on SPY, QQQ, DIA, a bunch of other tickers, so all stuff to enhance your guys' trading. So make sure you're checking that out as well. Let's get started on this list. Guys, I do want to say I went from $100,000 of consumer debt. Okay, the point I'm going to make here is that I learned. Okay, when I wanted to know how to do something, I learned. Okay, I went to the best people and I learned. So at one point in my life, I was at $100,000 of consumer debt. I took that down to zero. Okay, I went from $100,000 of consumer debt to $0 of consumer debt. I paid that off. And as I was paying that off, then I started to learn about the stock market. And as I started to learn about the stock market, I started to learn about other things. And it's a continuous process. If you're not learning, you're dying. So I'm glad you guys are here to learn this stuff, because if you're here, it means you're in the right spot. Okay, you're at a starting point. You're looking to improve yourself, to be better, to get something more than what you already got. And I thank you guys for being here and letting me be the one to show you that. So let's get started on this list. These are the setups that I would look at every single day, that I do look at every single day. This is the stuff that I trade. If the daily setups don't work for you guys, make sure you're doing this on a smaller time frame. Okay, but doing it in the same way, just on smaller time frames. I've got plenty of review videos to show you guys exactly how to do that. So make sure you're checking those out on the channel. So the first one we've got on the list here, guys, is SPY. And again, if you are a first timer, go check out the learning tool videos, because you'll learn in depth exactly what we are talking about here. But for now, stay tuned. Check out those videos after. What we've got on SPY is a 2 down that finished green. Okay, so when we have that, this green bar, but a 2 down, I always look for that probability that this stuff gets pushed back to the upside. I'm going to add, give me a second here, 4 hour, 1 day, there we go. I was looking for that time frame continuity indicator there. Part of the Strat indicator that I created for you guys, also part of the Griswold Gold membership. Anyways, 2 down green, okay? And when we have this 2 down, the 2 candle meaning we only break one side of the previous candle, so the downside. If it only breaks the high side, that is considered a 2 up. But we have a 2 down. Now, when we have a 2 down, most times they're red, but when we do finish green, that gives me a higher probability that this trade is going to trend back to the upside. Okay, so what we do is we set our triggers at the top of the candle. Okay, we're looking for calls here, or just to buy common shares at 382.23. When I'm looking for a strike price on options at 382.23, I'm looking for a 383 strike. You could probably take a 384 on this as well. If you want to go higher, I wouldn't go much higher than a 384, 85. That would be the max. And then we're looking for it to hit these targets for our profits. And again, if you want to learn how to do that and manage those trades, go check out the other videos I have, the review videos. It'll show you exactly how I trade, how I get in, how I get out, how I manage while I'm in the trade. Okay, so we're looking for a trigger at 382.23, first target at 383.82 on SPY. And I'll give you a hint here, guys. In my top 5 plays that I give out to the Griswold Gold members, if SPY has a setup, it will be on that play because I love playing SPY. Okay, Neo, same thing. If Neo is on that top, has a good setup, it will be on that top 5. So Neo, again, a 2 down green here. I'm going to look for calls at 11.59, first target at 11.66. We go on to CVS. CVS also has that 2 down green that we were talking about. So calls at 95.40. First targets at 96.31. And people call these targets, they call it magnitude. You'll hear that term. You'll hear them say that's where the bears have their stop losses. They all basically mean the same thing. We're all looking at the same stuff, talking about the same, little bit different terminology, but in general, the same thing. So calls at 95.40, first target at 96.31. I'm calling out these numbers on the side here. So that's where you will see what I'm calling out. Again, 95.40, you can look at that strike price of 95.50, maybe 96. And expiries, guys, I like closest to. So for me, these would be Friday. If you want to take the following Friday, that's fine too, okay? No issues with that. So that is the play on CVS. We'll move on to Etsy. Etsy has a 2 down green. We can call that a hammer candle. We'll look for calls at 127.63. And again, good magnitude at 129.12. And when I say there's good magnitude, we always look for, I want to see a lot of space between this trigger and this target. It just gives us room for that candlestick to move. So if we move on to American Airlines, I'll try and find one here for you guys, and I'll talk about why I don't like it when there's very little room there. But American Airlines, again, 2 down green. We're going to look for calls at 12.62. And given the price, again, 12.89, that's good enough magnitude for me on that smaller stock price. We go into Apple, AAPL, 2 down green. We're looking for calls on Apple at 133.25, first target at 135.20. Again, guys, when I trade, this is that time frame indicator that I was talking about. When I trade on my, scalps, on my day trades, I look for this hourly and this daily to be in the same direction. That's all I really need. If I have more than that, that's just higher probability that trade works out, okay? So I don't need these in that same direction, but if they are all green, that's a higher probability. If we go 2-2 continuation, so if we break to the bottom side, we've got full time frame continuity to the downside, and that's a trade I would also look at taking, but the probability here right now is because we have that 2 down green that this is going to trend back to the upside. That's on Apple. We move on to AMC, another 2 down green. A lot of 2-2 reversals is what we're looking for. I have a video on 2-2 reversals as well. It's part of a little learning tool setup playlist that I've got. I talk about 1-2-2 reversals and time frame continuity, etc., etc. But again, AMC, 2 down, finish green. We're going to look for calls at 5.15. BAC, Bank of America Corporation, 2 up red. So this is the exact opposite of what we're talking about. When we have these 2 ups, this is what I was talking about. We only break the high side of the previous candle, but we finished red. So this is what I would call a failed 2. Okay, we didn't hit targets. We're not green. We're finished red. I'm going to look for probabilities to tell me that, yes, we are looking to trend back to the downside. 32.14 is our trigger on this. If you're trading just common shares, I would not recommend shorting this stuff. If you're playing options, you can go ahead and play puts after we trigger. Don't front run this stuff, okay? We want to make sure we have confirmation that we have triggered and we are looking to hit those targets. That's on BAC. Continue on here. 2 down, green on BIDU. Now, normally, again, we have this 2 down green, but we do have a shooter candle. So that's an actionable signal. 2 down green, shooter candle or inverse hammer. It's the opposite of a hammer candle. It's an inverse hammer. So we have this big body at the bottom and a big long wick to the top. that is a bearish symbol, bearish setup. So we can look for puts on this at 107.23, first targets at 106.88. And again, for this one, really we've only got 35 cents to move. And what I wanted to share with you guys is, let's say this candlestick on Wednesday opens up right here, and we start trending down, we hit targets, okay? Now, what happens, guys, we hit that target. A lot of times what happens after we hit that target, it'll retrace through, and we'll start coming back the other way, and it'll reverse on us, and we'll never see that target hit again. And so I want you guys to make sure if we come through that target and reverse, that you are taking your profits. And I don't care if that profit is 5% or 500%. It's not going to be 500, but I'm just saying 5% is still a winning trade. And if we reverse through that, I want you guys to make sure you are in profit on that trade. You're not letting it go into the red, okay? We move on to C, ticker symbol C, that's Citigroup, 2 up red, shooter candle. Great time frame continuity to the downside. We're going to look for puts at 43.80, first target marked out at 43.48 on Citigroup. CAT. Okay, so CAT's not something that I normally have on here, guys. So CAT has higher premiums, meaning you're paying more to get into the contract. It also has a wider spread between the bid and the ask. And when I trade, the way I do it, that spread between the bid price and the ask price, I like those to be pennies. Okay, I want to be more than 5%. Because I buy market and I sell market. I want to get into that trade really fast, and I want to get out of that trade really fast. I don't want to wait for a limit order to be filled. So I look for tickers and stock that have that tight spread. So SPY, QQQ, NEO, Apple, AMD, stuff like that. CCL, Ford. CAT doesn't normally have that, but we do have an inside bar on CAT. So I'm going to talk about the inside bars. Again, you guys that have been with me for a long time, you know all about the inside bars, but we have new watchers all the time, new followers all the time. They don't know about the inside bars or the 1 bars. So if you're new, if you're struggling, concentrate on these 1 bar setups. And you notice that yellow bar, that comes with the indicator that I've created for you guys. It can be found down below, bought separately, or it comes with a Griswold Gold membership, and you get that thing for life, okay? You pay for it once, you get it for life. So inside bar, we are looking for a break to either side. And when you see this yellow bar, I want you guys to think of a spring. Think of that yellow bar representing a spring or a jack-in-the-box. And when you press that thing down, and if you could see me, I've got my one hand going down on top of the other, and I'm pressing that spring down. When you let go of that spring and you release it, you're expecting that spring to jump up and explode into one direction or the other. And all we have to do is go back and look at time. And regardless of whether it gapped or not, you can see these explosions that happen. Okay, and that's what we look for. And probability tells us that that is what happens off of inside bars the majority of the time. We trigger and we target. Okay, that one, again, wasn't fantastic trade, but it did what it said it was going to do. It hit triggers and then it hit targets. Here's another one. Trigger, hit targets. Inside bar here, triggered and no targets. And again, this is why I go back and show you guys, because it doesn't always work, okay? We're not always going to get those big explosions. We're not always going to hit triggers and targets. But the probability, guys, and a lot of people won't talk about this. A lot of traders won't talk about this. Every strategy that is presented to you guys, including this one, the Strat, including this one, every strategy that is presented to you guys is based off of probability. Because, and if somebody tells you, look at this inside bar, boom. Okay, if anybody tells you any different, they're lying or they don't know what they're talking about. Because no one can tell you when CAT opens tomorrow, no one can tell you what that candle's going to do. They don't know. Okay, but what they can tell you is the probability of what is going to happen. And you need to realize as a trader, you base off of probabilities, not knowing what's going to happen, but the probability of what's going to happen. And when you have probability, you have risk. And I'll tell you this right now, the best traders that are on Twitter, that are anywhere, the best traders are the best at managing their risk, protecting their capital, cutting losses when you have a loss. Okay, when it goes in the opposite direction, you cut that trade. And it doesn't matter if that trade ends up running 300% later in the day. Okay, Your job is to protect your capital. And when you protect your capital and keep those losses small, you can have 5 small losses at 10 to 20%, call it 50 to 100% over 5 trades at a loss, and you can get your next trade at 100%. You can win that trade at 100% and get 100% gains on that trade, or 200%, or what have you, 70. Even if you cut 5 losses at 50%, 5 losses, 10% each for 50%, and you had a trade went 60%, you are a profitable trader. You won 1 out of 6 trades, and you're 10% up on what you've traded. Okay, that is what successful traders are. So when people say, I got a 70% win rate, I have an 80% win rate, guys, it doesn't matter. You could have a trader that has a 20% win rate, and they are profitable because they manage their risk better than anybody else. And that is what you guys really need to concentrate on, is to be the best risk managers, okay? We'll move on to CCL here. CCL had a 2 down that finished green. But again, we have that shooter candle set up. So we're going to look for puts here. We're going to look for a continuation to the downside. It'll give us really great time frame continuity. We'll look for puts at 793 on Carnival Cruise Lines. Comcast CMCSA 2 down green. No shooter candle, so we're going to look for this thing to go back up. We'll look for calls at 34.56. Datadog DDOG 2 down green. Calls at 76.80. The DIA, the diamonds, inside bar. So we know all about the inside bars because we just talked about it in length on CAT. Okay, so inside bars, we're going to look for calls at 329.87, puts at 326.41, and those are our targets. Our targets are set for us, okay? Not for us. We set them. You can set them up after you've looked at what I have, and you can go ahead and do that. Disney, I think, also had an inside bar. So Disney has a inside bar. We can look for calls at 87.84. Good magnitude to the upside. Puts at 85.76. And we are approaching this broadening formation here. So we'll see if we can tag that and then see what happens after. But inside bar on Disney. Time frame continuity looks good to the downside. DraftKings DKNG 2 down green. We'll look for calls back to the upside. $12.03 on that one. DocuSign 2 down green again, so we'll look for the reversal back to the upside. Calls at 54.70. So we got 54. Where is this yellow one coming in from? 54.78. That's the right one. We'll move on to eBay. eBay has a 2 up that finished red, so we're going to look for puts at 40.65. I would watch this with these targets. Not something that would be on the top 5 for me, but you guys can still pay attention to it. Fubo 2 down green. We're going to look for calls back to the upside at $2.15. Man, has Fubo fallen from grace. If we go back, oh my goodness. If we go back and take a peek, look at how high this thing was. All the way up at $11 here back in February, just over a year ago, from $11.61 down to 2 something. Unbelievable. That's Fubo. I'm going to zoom back in here for Google. Google has a 2 down that finished green. Let me zoom in for you guys so you can see that a little better. I hope these screens, guys, if these screens work out for you, if you want it zoomed in a little bit more, let me know in the comment section below. If you have questions, leave them down below. You can leave them on Twitter at Mr. Clark Griswold as well. And if you like this stuff, make sure you give me a thumbs up, please. And be sure to subscribe. 2 down green on Google. We'll look for calls on that at 89.78. GS, Goldman Sachs, inside bar. It's actually a 3-1 setup. So these outside bars, painted white, part of the indicator. This gold line here, this highlight, that's part of the indicator. It notifies you of 3-1 setups. Now, these 3-1 setups, they don't happen very often. And they seem to, or tend to, based off of probability, do really well. So again, here's a 3-1. We triggered, we didn't hit targets, but it was still a good move off of that 3-1 setup. We'll try and find one more here. And here we go, 3-1 setup. It gapped, but we had that really big push to the downside. So probability based, again, the 3-1 setups tend to do very, very well. Realistically, you're just trading that inside bar, but it is preceded by an outside bar and that pattern itself does not happen very often. HD, this one's very similar to CAT, has the same kind of tendencies with the premiums and the spreads, but we can look for calls back to the upside at 316.89 on Home Depot. IWM, 2 down green. We'll look for calls on this one at 174.02. JP Morgan, 2 up red. So we're looking to push back to the downside on this one. Puts at 130.20. And guys, if you're new, you don't know how to trade options, make sure you're looking for setups that push you back to the upside, okay? And you're looking for those setups. And with buying common shares, you're going to buy less. You're also going to lose a lot less. It's a very good way to learn outside of options is to just play those common shares. And what I mean by that is, let's look at Keurig Dr. Pepper here for a second. We've got the 2 up red on KDP. So we're going to look for puts. Actually, we won't look at this one just because it's options based. But we can look for puts at 36.11, first target at 36.02 at KDP. When I find one of those, I will let you know. Hey, KO. Let's use KO as an example, okay? I'm not going to ask you guys to short this and play puts to the downside, but let's say this thing goes to the upside, okay? I'm going to mark that target in green. Now you're buying, now you can buy a share, buy 2 shares, buy 10 shares. I don't care. But let's say you buy a share at $63.15 when we trigger it, and you hit first targets and it reverses, so you're out. Okay, so you're looking at, 25 cent gain off of $63. So no, it's not a large dollar value off of that one share, but it's a great learning tool. You're learning where to take profit at targets. Now let's say it reverses on you and we come back through that trigger. You can use your 50% mark of this inside bar, also part of the indicator that I've created for you guys. You can put on the daily 50% marker. So let's say we come back through there and it's 62.95. Let's say, for example, is the halfway point. Well, now you've only lost 20 cents, okay? So you're really no worse for wear, and you're learning, okay? You're learning where to take your profit, where to get out of a trade. And so when you come to start playing options, if you choose to do so, you're going to be able to better identify your stop losses and where to remove yourself from that trade. Lucid is up next, 2 up, finished red, full time frame continuity. I'm hoping this thing trends down. This may be on the top 5. It's a good looking setup. So we'll look for puts at $7.22 on Lucid. Lyft, 2 down green, so we're going to look to go back to the upside. Calls at $10.47 on Lyft. We'll head on over to MasterCard. Same thing as Home Depot and CAT. It's got the same principles. Higher premiums, bigger spreads between the bid and the ask, but we do have that inside bar. So we can look for calls at 344.37, puts at 340.62, and I've marked the targets out there as we were looking at it. MS, that's Morgan Stanley, has a 3-1 setup. So we looked at that previously on, was it JP Morgan? But again, here's that inside bar, big break. The last 3-1 setup on Morgan Stanley ended up going double inside bar and then a huge run up. So outside of that, the next 3-1 setup, and like I said, guys, we have to go back far in time to find these because they are very, very rare. And here we go. And this is what I'm talking about. These are those big breaks. We trigger and we hit targets. That's a nice run from 92.93 all the way down to 91.91. So a big run there and a good trade off of that 3-1 setup for Morgan Stanley. We'll move on to Microsoft. Microsoft has, is that an inside bar? 2 down green. So we're going to look to trend back to the upside. Calls at 242.91. And the first target, just the top of that preceding wick. Netflix 2 down green. We're going to look for calls on this one as well. Back up to 289.28 with a trigger. And our first target's marked out. PFE, I believe, does that have an inside bar? It did. PFE with the inside bar. Calls at 51.51. Let's mark the targets out together. There to the top side. Puts at 50.84. And there's your target to the downside. We'll move into Procter & Gamble. That's PG with the inside bar. So again, you guys know about the inside bars. Calls at 150.9. Puts at 149.27. We are also looking to go 2 down on the week here on Procter & Gamble. The Qs, triple Qs, 2 down green, we'll look for calls at 271.32. Square, 2 down green, we look for calls at 61.87. WFC, Wells Fargo, it's a 3, but we have a shooter candle. We've got full time frame continuity. We're going to look for a 3-2 continuation or 3-2 reversal, 2-3-2 reversal, whatever you want to call it. We got puts at $40.98 on WFC. XOP, inside bar. It's actually a 3-1 setup on XOP. So we are stuck on an inside bar as well on the week. So if we go to the weekly, there's the setup. There's our current inside bar. There's last week's inside bar. We are looking to break out of this thing. So if we trigger to the downside, guys, our second target breaks us 2 down on the week for that Spider Oil and Gas ETF. Again, guys, if you're finding this stuff helpful, this is exactly how I trade every single day. Make sure you give me a thumbs up. Follow along with that subscribe button. Get in on the Discord. Don't forget about your 30-day trial on TradingView. And we will see you guys all on the next one. Good luck trading Wednesday, guys. Christmas is coming. We got minus 40-degree weather where I am. It is chilly, so if you're cold where you are, stay warm. If you're hot, lucky you guys. We will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.